Welcome to the Legends of Iron. I'm John Anderson. Meet my co-hosts Nick Best and Akeem Williams. We're going to have some amazing guests on the show. Buckle up tight because we're going to be talking about the shit you're not supposed to be talking about. We're going to be discussing anything and everything it takes to become a Legend of Iron.
Legends of Iron is brought to you by Musclements. Musclements is the creator of Carnivore Pure Beef Protein Isolates. Beef builds muscle, and Carnivore is the world's #1 selling beef protein.
Welcome to another edition of Legends of Iron. I am John Anderson. With me, always my partners in crime, Nick Best and Akeem Williams. We have got a killer show for you today, everyone. This guest has been in the military during his entire strongman run, just recently retired, but keep in mind, in the military, also winning 2 World's Strongest Man titles in the 105 class. So this guy right here, he's not only a strong dude, but he is just a straight up savage of a human being. Anthony Fuhrman, welcome to the show. How are you, brother?
Oh, hey, thank you. That's probably the coolest introduction I've ever had. So I appreciate that. I like
that. Absolutely, brother. Well, I'll tell you, when people can watch you train, they see what you've done, but then they just watch who you are. And I mean, for you to be doing all the stuff you're doing, then jump up and walk on your hands, and you're just when it comes down to being an athlete and just be a savage, you got it going on, brother. So we're happy to have you on the show, man.
Oh, thank you very much. Thanks so much.
Absolutely. Well, let's go back in time.
It is good to see you.
Sorry, go ahead.
What is it that got you started in this? I mean, we'll go back to the beginning. Everybody has a trigger. What was your trigger? And talk us through the timeline, because you're very accomplished. And let's go back to the beginning.
Yeah, so I think like many strongmen in the 2000s, I think the trigger was planted when I was young, watching ESPN, seeing Magnus versus Magnus in the 90s, the heyday, the golden era, right? So I loved it growing up, but it kind of went away. You start playing real sport. I say real sports. But
nice going, Anthony. Nice going.
Conventional sports.
So mainstream sports.
Yeah.
Mainstream sports.
So you get involved with that. And then 2006 I joined the Army, so competing in something else outside of that, took a further backseat. That was, people don't remember, but that was, I was back there in the Iraq days, the surges and all that stuff. It was a way different time, didn't have time to really train. And then, so I got hurt. I hurt my knee actually on a ruck march, Army stuff, 2013, 2014. And everything seemed to come together because our operation tempo kind of pulled back by that point. So I wasn't deploying every other year. And it was just a little easier to, live. I hurt my knee, couldn't run anymore. I met Mark Taysom, who's a legend in the strength community, educational side. He wrote the NCSA's whole tactical athlete program. He was training and coaching at a gym on base, and he saw me deadlifting, and it was like 600 pounds, which on an Army base, that's probably the biggest deadlift you're going to see.
Yeah, that's big.
And he was like, "Hey man, you think you're strong? How about you lift this stone?" And it was a 300 pound stone. And I was like, it's like the bell click, like, oh, wait a minute. I saw that on TV. I know what that is. Lift the stone, loaded it the first time. He couldn't believe it. I was
hold on. You loaded a 300-pound stone the first time you touched it?
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome, dude.
Yeah. Looking back, I mean, definitely that was super. I don't know what it was. It was like a challenge. It was something I hadn't felt in a long time, like a personal challenge. And that's what hooked me right there, is the feeling of loading that stone and what I could accomplish if I actually, put my mind to it.
Yeah. Very cool. So that was kind of the trigger. That's what got you started. Yeah.
Yeah. A knee injury timed with old viewings and the right guy at the right time that kind of introduced me to it. It just all kind of happened, for a reason.
So talk us through, you pick up a stone, 300 pounder for the first time, which is pretty awesome, no matter how big you are. obviously you're a lightweight guy, still doing that stuff. But now, fast forward, you're a 2-time world champion.
Yeah, I had a bright and brief career at the top, mostly due to injuries. They kind of came back and got me at the very end. But yeah, I found out I had a natural talent for it. That athlete thing you're talking about, that just goes back to playing middle linebacker at a D1 level.
Just savage. That's just the savage stuff that's coming out of you right there.
Well, and like people, they ask me like, how do you carry the Hootsville so long? I'm like, it's a minute long. It's not that much work. Because again, I was used to walking 25 miles in full gear, and I'm like, you want hard? Try doing that. Like, so that was my mentality.
50 pounds for 2 hours.
Yeah, eventually as you get into it, you learn more. But that's always the mentality I took into those grueling events. Is this ain't that bad? I've done worse.
So the military kind of mentally groomed you for a lot of the stuff you're going to run into. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I think it really did. Whether I wanted to or not, it grew me.
Yeah, yeah. Well, when you can look at something like a nasty Husafeld and say that's not that hard, you're mentally groomed.
we'll call that's groomed. Yes.
Groomed, crazy. Either way, it's close.
All the above.
Yeah. You really got to not like yourself to enjoy the Husafeld or any type of front carrying. Long time distance front carrying event.
It's grueling, yeah. You got to live outside the moment, not in the moment. That's the key.
There we go.
That's a good one.
I love it. We're getting some of the mental tools right here. That's beautiful. So, obviously, you started competing, and then talk to us about, you had a pretty stark rise to the top. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, my first competition was June of 2015. It was Parker Days out in Denver, Colorado. Mike Burke was my head judge, and it was like I had just gotten into the sport, and I was like, "Oh my God, Mike Burke!" I was starstruck, and he's just like, "What are you looking at, guy?" I'm like, "So sorry."
He said that is such a beast of a man,
My first time I ever saw him, I went to a gym in Denver, and he was warming up for overhead with like a 405 military press in the rack, and I was just like, "What is this guy doing? I can't even bench that." Like, it was mind blowing. When you get it, it's like gives you chills almost thinking about, because this is a time before I knew all the strong people. So every time I met a person, it was, wow, he's the strongest man I know, and it's like a sense of wonder almost. But yeah, so yeah, I competed amateur. I did 2016 nationals as a 265 actually, because once I started doing strongman, I went back to Pee Wee football and so you could eat whatever you want as long as you were lifting and training. So I got up to a little small heavyweight for a while, and then found out Lynn Morehouse actually told me that I would be very competitive in the 105 class, and I was like, I don't know, and I kind of put it off, and I finally did it in early 2017. It was a Platinum Plus in North Carolina. I won it, earned my pro card. Went to America's Strongest Man that year in 2017. Tied for first, lost the tiebreaker, so I ended up taking second. It was my first pro show. Came in third at Worlds that year, and coming in third at Worlds when I knew I could have won, that lit a fire under me, and that's why I dusted people for 2 years.
Yeah, you were ready to go. You knew you had it at that point. Just coming back and doing it again.
Yeah, but it's like I knew I had it. I knew mistakes I made. I knew where I could be better at, and I said I'm never going to let anyone beat me again like that. So
there you have it.
You did it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, the way you explain that, it seems so just kind of simple, matter of fact. A lot of times you hear people's journey, and there's a lot of there's a lot. Of course, your journey, of course, had plenty of hard work and plenty of obstacles. The way you explain it, it's just kind of matter of fact. Okay, here it was. This is what I did.
Well, it's one of those things where, like, I could tell the story, but then it's just a story. It wouldn't. It kind of, to me, it kind of takes away from my personal journey telling that story, because then, I know that story. Yeah. That's good enough for me.
So you're a 2-time 105 champ. How did that kind of change? In the military, obviously, doing something like that, they must have been like, look what our boys doing out there. They give you a lot of support, get behind you with that?
At first, no.
Really?
I was on recruiting duty too. It made no sense to me. I was like, you could use this as a recruiting tool. You're gonna
Yeah, no shit.
But yeah, it's Army, so everything's slow to change. You got to find the right person to kind of get you back. And I actually, eventually they did. After I won the world title, they moved me to the Army Marketing Brigade to be on the Warrior Fitness team, it was called. And I was a representative for them competing. And I got to go to the Arnold South Africa Pro. I got to go to Finland for SCL. I got Spain, a lot of cool stuff competing on behalf of the Army.
That's really cool, man.
Yeah.
That's really cool. You gotta like that.
Yeah, that whole thing is like amazing because just the things you're going to be able to do and then promote the Army at the same time. That was a pretty cool thing to go see myself. I got to go hang out with the Army Warrior Fitness team, so that was a lot of fun for me.
Yeah.
You got to hang out with the Rangers. You got the good.
I know.
Well, hold on. Tell us the story, Nick. Tell us the story here. Don't hold out.
No, we got to go down and we got to go to Fort Benning and we got to hang out with the Olympic skeet shooting gold medalists, and another guy was a 3-time Olympian, and we got to go shoot with them and do a whole bunch of really kind of cool stuff at Fort Benning. So it was pretty amazing, and go to the hand-to-hand combat area and go over to the tank simulator and try to stuff my tail into a tank or a tank simulator, which was pretty funny. But I got in there. It took a while. I had to butter up and grease up and get in there, but I got in the gunner's seat and I fired off a few rounds. It were simulated rounds, but it was a lot of fun. It was crazy. And to watch what they go through in the training and stuff like that, we got to shoot a lot of guns, got to see where the gunsmiths work, and they work on all the firearms for everyone in the military. And that's pretty amazing how they can customize the weapons and stuff like that. So it was an amazing experience. It truly was.
Yeah.
So,
on that level, Anthony, talk to us about as in the military.
Yeah.
Obviously, you mentioned the recruiting. You were in that phase. What did you do for the military? Talk to us about the different things you did.
Well, I was infantry for 12 years.
And for those of us that are not real up to speed, we'll kind of tell what is it. I've heard the word infantry. Describe that.
It's the door kickers, the grunts, the ground troops, the guys storming the beach.
Oh, okay.
The cannon fodder. No, I was infantry my first 12 years. That's what I joined as. And I loved it. I felt like I was making an impact on the world. That's why I stuck with it for so long. Because that was one thing I was searching for growing up with the sports and everything. I wanted to be part of something bigger than me. I always felt like I was meant for something. I'm from Erie, Pennsylvania, so I didn't need to stay in Erie, Pennsylvania. So like always searching for that thing to, help elevate me and make me feel like bigger than part of something bigger than I am was always a big thing.
So you were happy to be a part of the infantry because you felt like you were making an impact, yeah? And did you do it all the way till you retired? Because you just recently retired. Did you do that the whole time?
Nope. The last 3 years I switched to recruiting because it was more conducive to my physical training hours and
gotcha. Okay.
Stuff like that.
So now we're seeing the timeline. So Strongman came about probably at the perfect time and when you weren't storming the beach.
Right. The heavy deployments were done. I did 3 of them. And even after the last one, you kind of saw things were dying down a little bit, so it wasn't like it was. So we were able to focus more on our lives and everything.
Mm.
Yeah.
Did you have like a weight? Did you have to stay like underweight or anything like that to stay in the military?
My entire career, I think the max weight I was allowed to weigh was 189 pounds. And I got to tell you, yes, for 5'11", 189. I tell you, I haven't weighed that since I was in maybe 9th grade, 10th grade. So what they do is if you break the weight, they do a body fat test on you. It's a tape around the neck and the abdomen. Pretty simple. So yes,
you were able to they were register that you weren't obese and say it's okay.
Right. Well, for the most part, some guys, especially when I first joined, it was like the older school. All they cared about was the weight, and I was like, dude, like, fight me. Stop talking. Stop. Quit talking to me like that. Because I'm bigger than you. Oh no. Like.
Gotcha. So what time you went to recruiting, that's when the strongman was really kind of peaking for you and everything just fell right in place. Almost like it was meant to be or something, huh?
Honestly, you know, for the 2 years prior to the recruiting duty, I was doing okay, but I was an infantry platoon sergeant, so my time was obviously dedicated to other places. And then right as I got good recruiting duty, it was crazy. Like,
yeah. Well, I mean, dude, you've been in shape. You know, shit, you look like you could have done bodybuilding as well. We see what he looked like in different parts of his career. I mean, hell, it looked like he could have jumped on stage. You know?
Yeah. The thing about that is the eating and the drinking. That's about the bodybuilding.
It's funny because that's what most people say. They say most of the drinking. They can't give up the drinking.
Yeah, I'm a 15-year infantry guy. You want me to stop drinking for bodybuilding? Okay.
So what you're saying is that's not ever going to happen.
I don't think ever.
That's awesome. Well, it's amazing because everything you do, you still try to leave an impact on whatever it is that you touch. Yeah. And you're starting to do that with strongman. So, you know, what's going on with that? I mean, I know, but people don't know. So I'm asking you the question.
So I've always been very
probably being John to the punch. Sorry.
Yeah. No, that's okay. No, that's beautiful. That was just a couple questions down the line, but I'm glad for you to get that out the way, Nick. Good job.
he was sitting on it. He was sitting there like, I'm going to ask this one.
I was patiently waiting to let it fly.
Oh Lord. All right. So, Nick, as you know,
yes,
and anybody that knows me at all knows I'm very vocal about things. I'm not one to take things in stride just because it's I grew up listening to Renegades of Funk and all that good stuff. Like I ain't playing that fucking line thing. And I was very upset that the 105 were not featured as pro. We were given pro cards and pro status, but nobody would feature us. And I saw amazing guys that are in many cases just as strong as open pros in certain things. They look good. They look more like the normal person. You kind of get that crossover of almost bodybuilder, strawman a lot in our class just because we have to maintain a certain weight. And I knew what I could do. I went to South Africa, competed against all the guys, Shiv and all them. And I placed like 9th out of like 16. So it's not too bad for a 105 guy to step up to the Arnold Pro.
No, hell no. That's great, brother. I mean, you're talking about guys that are outweighing you by 150 pounds.
I beat Shivikov on the farmer's carry too, by the way. So
good for you, brother.
But it's like I went through years with that as an athlete. In my 2 world titles, I got a total of $1,000 for combined paid out. And that's when I was like, all right, that's the last straw. The second one, I was like, this is too much. And COVID hit and I made some good investments. So I had a little bit of extra cash towards the end of the year when it kind of recovered. And I was like, I want to throw a 105 show for my friends. I want to give them what I didn't get. So I have $10,000, first prize money. And we built a show around, that in 100 days.
Wow.
Good for you, man. That's good shit right there, brother.
It's about doing, it's fun to talk. It's fun to bitch. It's fun to moan, but nobody does anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it also got in on ESPN. Yeah. So that was the really cool part.
Yeah.
So you got some TV time too.
Yep. ESPN. We were able to get the female record breakers some spot on ESPN, which is the first time Strong Woman's been on ESPN in ages.
Yeah.
And
it's been since like 2000. It's been like what, mid 2000s, I think.
Yep. And we had 2 world record attempts make it onto the broadcast.
That's killer.
Actually, three female world record attempts. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, and we structured this entire thing around the athletes first, because without the athletes, there is no sport. Without the athletes, there are no fans. That is the bedrock. And I feel personally that in the United States, especially, we've kind of gotten away from the athletes first mantra. Any business, any sport knows their athletes are where they make their money. NFL.
We should hire you to be the spokesperson for bodybuilding, man.
It is. I mean, it really is across all strength sports.
You're definitely preaching some gems right now.
Yeah. And these promoters, they make it about them, and they don't understand. If you make the athlete money, they make you money. Mm-hmm. If you make the athlete money, they make you. That's it. It's that simple. Yeah. And nobody's trying to do that. They're trying to make their money off the backs of the athletes without giving the athletes a reason.
Give it back. Yeah.
So we're opposite of that. That's my main thing. Defend the athletes. That's one of my kind of mantras. Defend the athletes. Mm-hmm. Athletes first. Mm-hmm. And so we had a great response to that. So we had a 4-region qualifier system in person for the big show. That was popular. And I saw a gap with the other weight class strongman. We have the 80 kilo men, 90 kilo men, 64 kilo women, and 82 kilo women. I was like, they're not being served either. Let's serve them. And so we created a whole pro series for these weight class where they have their own shows. It's going to be broadcast. We have a great streaming service we work with. They're treated like the show. They are the main show. They're not a side. You're not combining two things. It's them. No, they're there to compete, and they all get a minimum of $10,000. They get their hotels paid for.
Wow,
that's killer.
The winner, right?
And of
the
course,
winner gets the 10,000. Yeah.
Well, right now it's a minimum 10,000 for the podium, and we're building on that. I'm guaranteeing 10,000 minimum.
Gotcha. Okay.
And yeah, we're just building on that. The response has been amazing. These athletes, you get enough people that feel underserved, and you start serving them, you get a good response.
Yeah.
And you do catch some flack from around the way because this is something that's never been done before.
Yeah.
This is the new in strongman. Like, this just never even been attempted. Nobody's even bothered to try. Mm-hmm. So, you catch some flack from people that don't like change, but that's all right. You just keep changing.
Yeah, brother. I mean, if you're going to be the first one.
He's making them look bad. That's why. I said he's just making them look bad. That's why. That's all it is, man.
And, when you're the first one to do something, no matter what it is, good or bad, there's always going to be people that will attack you. That's just the nature of doing something first. Yeah.
And the one thing I want to stress, it's not about changing what we've done or taking away from what people have done before me. It's all about moving the ball forward.
Yes.
People before me, they got us to this point. Fantastic. I see an opportunity to move it a little further. So I don't view anyone as competition because, one, the United States is huge. And two, I'm doing something different than everyone else. And that's okay. It's just the next step. Like, it's, so like, yeah.
The thing you did for the qualifying heats, like before the finals in the qualifying heats, where there were 3 different disciplines lined up and ready to go, and each group had to do that discipline, and you rotated them through, and as soon as one was done, the next one would go, and the next one would go. So the people at home watching on the live stream or the people that were there always had something to watch. You had no downtime. And that was pretty innovative and very impressive. And that was probably one of the most impressive things about that first contest was there was no downtime. Nobody could sit there and get bored. There was always action completely through. And it's still 3.5, 4 hours, and there was always something to watch. And that was pretty impressive. And I think that was very innovative.
Yeah, keeping the show going for that length of time, that's a task, brother. Great job.
Yeah, it was, again, he said no one ever tried it before. We just kind of did the math and mapped it out. And I was like, no one's going to watch our live stream if it's a bunch of downtime. That's my thinking. Like, so let's make it presentable to people and get viewers. Why would we make something that's not viewer friendly? So we did it. And it actually, the volunteers, again, they're the ones that made it happen because they were working, resetting those. Because what happened, like, we had the 3 events. So one athlete would go, they were in groups because we did like World's Strongest Man style with different groups. So one group would start on this event, this and that. One person would go camera to event 2. They'd go camera to event 3. So event 1 had to be reset by the time event 3 was done.
Gotcha.
Oh man.
And it was just it was just like that all day. Just, it was pretty cool. I couldn't believe it actually worked.
You had to get your staff in great shape to keep up with the pace.
And the judges.
We did host it at an island retreat. So they, it was okay.
No, that place was a lot of fun. That was a lot of fun. Especially when I started the mosh pit at the concert afterwards. That was a lot of fun.
It wasn't even metal music. He's over there at Stairway to Heaven just moshing with people, and they're just like, stop it.
Hey, man, you all it takes is you can have a good time in your own mind. Everybody else is just in your way. That's what it comes down to.
Yeah.
That's very true.
No, that contest was very memorable in a whole lot of ways, and the innovation and the things that came out of it was pretty impressive. Because what was it? A sandbag and drag, and a farmers and a duck walk, and then you had the overhead medley, which like the block, the dumbbell, the log, and an axle.
It was just a
Did I
three.
get it right?
Yeah, the block.
Three?
Remember
Okay.
the block kept no one could get the block for whatever.
Yeah,
reason.
that's right. Yeah. But to have all three of those running consecutively at the same time, that's genius to even think that. And then to do it with 30 guys,
Yeah,
that's pretty impressive.
Well, I do have a master's degree. So.
I love it, dude. I love it. That's the way to do it. That's it. Put yourself over because you're getting the job done. That's the bottom line. If you're getting the job done, you can say whatever the hell you want. That's
That's
bottom
all.
line,
That's all that
brother.
matters. Because if I do my job, the athletes benefit, and then everybody eats. That's another place at the table. Come get your plate. Everyone eats. Table's big enough.
Yeah, and you heard Occam speak up immediately when he heard you start talk like this because bodybuilding. I mean, obviously has most sports. Have that. There's that layer that gets fed well, and then everybody else is starving.
Yeah. And it doesn't need to be that way. That's a choice that one or several people are making. Because it does take work. I'll tell you what, it takes work providing for all these athletes. It's not easy.
Now, you think like when you did that, right? You think you attract a lot more new clients or new talent to the sport, right?
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, Nick. Not everybody wants to be a monster like you. And not everybody could be a monster like you.
What do you mean?
So some of the little guys, they kind of stay away from the sport because they don't have that motivation. Because they're like, I'm not going to come and try to pull that kind of weight or lift that kind of weight, and I'm not going to get anywhere in this sport. So congrats to you for doing something like that and giving the little guy a platform where he could go out and prove that he's strong.
And that's what it is. We did some market research. 85% of strongman is not heavyweight. At this point.
Oh shit!
85%.
Wow.
See, Nick, you're a special being, Nick.
Yeah, you're the special ones now.
Thanks.
But just from a very basic understanding of market analysis and just business, you see that and you're like, why are we not why are we not helping this 85%? This is a huge market that's not being tapped into.
Yeah, and clearly what they just came running as soon as you opened up that door, which is great.
And I did wait until I had a proven concept. I had to prove to myself, well, first off, and then to everybody that we could run series of shows. They'd all be high standard, high quality. And that's why we waited till after a few shows to announce, because then people would say, wait a minute, I've seen this now. This is not – we're not going to backyard barbecue, Jim O'Brien's house or whatever the fuck.
Oh, I love it, dude. And I tell you, every time you get that big smile, I'm loving that stash even more, dude. That's fucking great.
Oh, yeah. Last year, I had it down almost to my bottom lip. Because
no shit.
Well, because COVID, we all had to wear masks at work. So I was like, I'm not shaving to be in regulations. And I just let it grow. Like, you're going to make me wear a mask. I'm going to grow a mustache.
I love it. So now that you're retired from the military, you have all this time to commit to what we're talking about in terms of promotion of Strongman, yeah?
Yeah. My calendar's already freaking full for the spring and summer. So I'm glad this retirement came when it did. As I plan on branching out to China. We're actually working on with an organization in China to partner up, Clash and their organization, to bring in some Eastern athletes over here, help build it up over there, because that's another giant untapped market. It's the East Asia. And there's guys there that they're not going to be Nick size. That's just not, for the most part, does not work. But now that they have pro opportunities at their sizes, it's a whole nother beast we're going to try and get after.
Yeah.
The crazy part about this is we're sitting here having fun telling Nick that he's the overgrown mammoth, but when he competes, he feels like he's the small one. So just back to that, fact that he's the right now he can wear that hat, but when he's standing next to someone that's 6'8" and 440, he doesn't feel that way anymore.
There's always a bigger fish out there.
Yeah, that was my weekend this weekend, by the way. So yeah.
Being the tiny guy.
So yeah, I went out and visited Brian this weekend. Man, that was a lot of fun. Man, we trained like crazy. It was good stuff.
Oh yeah,
It sounds
Really
like
good
it.
stuff.
Absolutely.
So
So talk to us a little bit about, obviously, let's make some comparisons between strongman difficulties and military difficulties. What's the strongest, what's the most difficult thing you did in the military? And then parallel that against the most difficult thing you did in the sport of strongman.
I'd say probably the most physically difficult. We'll go physical, right?
Yeah, let's go both sides of the fence. We'll go physical, then we'll go mental.
Okay, all right. So physically, I got to say there was just one patrol in Iraq. I was the 240 Bravo machine gunner. We went dismounted.
Can you explain that to a non-military person? A 240 Bravo means?
That's the name of the gun. It's a fully automatic
Is that like one of those
gun.
things that's like hooked up onto a post in the back of a truck where you?
Yes, but fun fact, it's light enough where you can dismount and carry it, which that was my job because I was the biggest guy.
Yeah, they were the whole time getting pissed because you weighed more than 188. How's that work? You know?
Yeah, it worked terrible for my back. That thing was about with the ammo connected to it is probably about 42 pounds on top of all the probably 80 pounds of gear I'm already wearing. It's slung to the front, so it's like pulling you forward, and you're just constantly like, yeah. For about 8 hours, we walked around, and I had that thing.
Holy shit! So 8 hours you were carrying. So that's like, I mean, for someone who doesn't know, it's like, think about taking a 45-pound dumbbell and holding it in front of you and walking around for 8 hours. I don't know many people that could do that.
Well, there were times where like I pretended to see somebody so I could get down on the prone. I just kind of like, I just kind of rest for a few minutes. Those are tricks you learn, tricks of the trade.
Yeah, that's like on the bodybuilding stage when you see a guy bending over, and I've done it plenty of times, bending over and wiping the color around the legs. It's because you basically want to break. You're trying to breathe where nobody can see what you look like. It's kind of the same thing.
Just get a knee in when you can. That's all it is.
So that would be physically that ranks as the toughest.
Yeah. That's toughest. Toughest event I've ever done is probably, it was one of my first open shows, 2018. I was actually killing it. I was in third place going into the Stones, and that was the winner got a Giants Live invite. That's when Evan Singleton won way back in the day. And I was pretty good at Stones, so I felt great. And then I've never had this happen. So real quick,
for everybody, explain what you felt like standing next to Evan, because here's like a legitimate dinosaur, I mean, he's a monster.
Yeah. Then he opens his mouth. Anyways.
Oh, damn.
Oh, he'll love that one.
Oh, yeah, he's come. We got him scheduled to come on the show, so I'm sure he's going to have a rebuttal for that one.
He's just going to call me tiny or something. That's all he's got.
You can feel the love of that statement, brother. It's all good,
Yeah. No, he's my boy. I love Evan. Shit, where was I? Oh, hard.
I broke your stride. I was asking you to kind of explain what's it like when you're duking it out with someone that is literally just a giant.
So, I mean, now I look back at it like, holy shit. But, when I was there, I was just like, this big bitch. Like when I'm competing, I'm competing.
Yeah. You don't care. You don't care.
I don't give a shit. That just means he's slow. He's big. Who cares?
Yes. You find a reason you're going to win.
Yep. Yeah. And it was like a 5 or 6 stone series, which is pretty standard. I think the second stone was like 300 pounds, and I could not load it. Never happened to me before.
Going back to the guy that loaded a 300-pound stone the first time he touched it, and then all of a sudden, in the peak of a open class show. Oh man, that must
last
have been
event.
You must have been just
going. So it was the last event. That's probably why it was last event, right?
Well, yep, that's part of it. So up until that point, I mean, I laid everything out on that show because I really wanted to win and to get that Giants Live invite. So like, by the time that last event came, I the first time in the longest time I had hit a failure point where my body wouldn't work, which it blew my mind. I was just like, what is happening? Like I remember I was like spaghetti legs and arms trying to like pick it up again, and I didn't understand. It sucked, but it is what it is. And I learned learned there the training for open's different than doing 105. So I have to put a lot more work into
those weights those weights will suck the juice out of you so much faster than the lighter weights. It's just
especially when you're coming in. The heaviest I could ever get was about 275. Just because the Army, you still have to maintain. They got to be careful. That's
How did you get out of being 275 in the Army when they're looking at 188?
The body fat test. Luckily, my neck gets fatter. So.
I love it.
Man, if that were the case, you should be training neck every day. Just get a really big fat neck.
Some guys do. They grow these big guts and they're in the gym just doing neck exercises so they don't get cut out.
Shit. That's the remedy for the test? Oh, my God.
Yeah. No, they won't change anything. They'll just get their necks bigger.
So you basically hit a point of true failure physically in a contest.
That's actually pretty rare to see in our sport anyways. I said our sport. Because, they're usually not long events and stuff like that. But, I full failure.
Now you think because you probably were so focused on winning that you probably you didn't pace yourself as well? That's why you burned out of gas?
That's part of it. And again, I think I was so focused that I didn't get the nutrients I needed in between events, or I didn't have enough. I should have had more.
That was probably more.
Yeah.
Knowing you and have trained with you and have, done a whole bunch of competing with you, I would say that would have to be it. You probably just didn't get the proper food and stuff during the day because you have a tank that doesn't empty. You do. Once you start going, you just don't stop. So it had to be a lack of food or dehydration or something that shut you down.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was something like that. Again, it was just me miscalculating how much the events were taking a toll as they're happening.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
That adrenaline was probably so high. That's why.
Oh, yeah.
I tell you what, I do have it down to a science. I am great at peaking my adrenaline and then coming right back down.
And that's a seriously helpful tool right there, brother. Oh my God.
You save so much energy and you save everything. If you could just peak and come back down, just relax.
Does that have something to do with your military training? Because I'm sure you're taught to be calm when you're storming the beach. You got to stay calm, even though you're in a pretty dangerous situation.
Yeah, I've attributed some of that. Also, I attributed the high school athletics, playing at a pretty high level. I just kind of learned how to compete, whether it be baseball. I mean, people talk, baseball is like one of the most, oh shit, I'm going to ruin it for everyone sports there is. Like when you get up the bat when there's 2 outs and like just got to get on base. That is terrifying.
Yeah. So I guess all your experience just kind of learning to hit the button when you need to.
Yeah.
So talk to us. That's the physical. Talk to us about the most mentally challenging in both military and strongman.
Mentally challenging for military, hands down, with it's called Pathfinder. It's a class in the Army. Essentially, what their Pathfinder's jobs are to be inserted before the airborne troops and set up the drop zones so the airborne troops can get dropped in. And it's a lot of math that I shouldn't have been doing as an infantryman. That I had I winged it. I don't know. It's a lot. It's 3 weeks long. There's a test every day. If you fail a test, you get a retest, but the following day, so you have to learn all the new material and it's just really high pay. Yeah. And I passed that the first time, and I never felt smarter in my life.
So you're basically going and creating a place where the drop zone is supposed to be, hoping that they don't start bailing out of the plane 2 miles too early. Like your drop zone has to line up with where they're jumping out of the plane.
Yeah, because there's certain wind restrictions, there's certain barometer readings you have to have that depending on the cargo of the plane load, what it is, even helicopters, if it's sling loading things. There's so many things that go into it that, like, again, it's a very high pressure job.
Yeah, I can see the stress in that.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, it was. So that was tough.
How many lives were counting on you being accurate with your math?
Well, we only did the one live where we actually, because at the end of the course we got to actually set it up. So there's, I don't know, there's probably 80 people on that plane.
Oh Jesus! So you basically are calculating for 80 people. That's some pressure.
Yeah. See, you have to see how big the drop zone is, depending on the people, and clear out. And there's a bunch of stuff that goes into it. So,
wow. Well, it's going to be interesting to hear the potential parallel for strongman. It's definitely not. It's not hinging 80 people's lives.
Yeah, I think probably the most mentally challenging thing for me, along the same vein, has been when I got out of competing and I started the strength elite and the clash stuff. I kind of did tell the community, "Hey, I got you." I put myself out there and said, "Hey, follow me. Let's do this. I'm here for you." So that causes a lot of daily stress, because everything I do, whether it's appreciated or scrutinized, it affects not me anymore at all. Like, I don't care. I don't give a shit.
Yeah, well, and that's actually a fairly close parallel, because these are people that are counting on you to hopefully create something better for them, and you put your word down. You got to stand by that and create it. So I guess there is actually quite a large parallel to that.
Yeah. As I was saying it, I was like, "Oh wait, this is kind of."
Now, we've talked about clash. You haven't talked about strength elite yet, so tell us about strength elite.
That was the first thing that I got into.
Collective.
The Strength Elite Collective. It was the summer of 2020. I kind of you see around the sport when you're involved. A lot of coaches out there give kind of crappy programs, and they swindle, and another thing is the barrier of entry is too high in our sport. I believe we're a blue collar sport. So not being able to be competitive unless you have 150 a month, that doesn't sit right with me. So what we did is I just reached out to a network that I built through years of competing, and I reached out to some people, said, "Hey, I want to build a website where it's a subscription service, $35 a month, and they have access to 30, 40, 50 programs all at once. They choose from coaches, from legitimate coaches in the sport, legitimate athletes, and that just lowers the barrier of entry to really dive into the sport. We never really had anything like that. Some people can't afford 150. If you can, go get a coach. That's fine. But you shouldn't have to. I've had people reach out to me, and I told them my price, and all right, we'll have to move some things around. I'm like, no, man, that's not. Don't, because it's not that important. I'll give you a couple months on me, but don't take food out of your family's mouth for this.
Yeah, it's coaching. For sure.
I just wanted to kind of help that, and again, putting the people first. I truly believe if you put people first, people will take care of you down the road, and it's something I really do believe in. Thick and thin, good and bad, bumpy roads. It's something that they can't shake. They can't break me with that, because that's really how I feel.
Well, brother, I'll tell you, I mean, you're from a physical accolade, you've done a lot, but listening to you talk, I mean, you're so much more deep. There's so much more to you, and how you look at things and how you care for what you're doing. It's really cool to see, brother. And I got to tell you, my hat's off to you. Keep up the good work.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that.
Yeah. It's real easy to get caught up in what you're doing and not actually use you create a platform for yourself, and now you're using that platform to help others, which is really fucking cool. We need more of that,
If everyone did one thing a day to make the world better than when they found it, we'd be all right. Just one thing a day.
Yeah. That's very true. Very true. Absolutely. Well, this is a great time for me to ask you. Obviously, you've been successful, a lot of stuff, and I'm sure there's going to be you're curious to find out what some of these things that you're going to say are, but your formula for success. You've been successful in a lot of stuff. What is it? You break it down, because we really try to, in the show, we really want our listeners to be able to have some takeaway moments, some takeaway things. So what is it, break down your formula of success. You've done as an athlete, done as a promoter. You've been, obviously you retired in the military, which is no easy task. Give us some pearls here, brother.
Yeah. I think one of the earliest ones goes back to, again, my teenage years. It's that you can't, if you want people to follow you, you have to be willing to do it yourself. Yeah. I think that's step one with anything. Whether it's physical, mental, business, relationship wise, if people are going to trust you and follow you, you have to show that you're willing to get in there with them.
Yeah.
You know, and on top of that, followed up with, even when I was a young sergeant in the Army, I took care of my soldiers. I took care of them, even though they pissed me off a lot, because I knew one day they were going to take care of me.
Yeah.
You know, and that's, again, carried over to how I do business, how I interact with, you know, even sponsors and stuff. I want to take care of sponsors like they've never been taken care of before. You know, we lose too many sponsors in the sport strongman because all they do is take their logo and slap it on something and say, "Here's your thank you for their money." That's not how it should be. That's how we get more money, is by treating them right. So just lead from the front, and then people first, always.
I tell you, bro, that's so true. A good leader has got to be ready to eat a turd just as fast as anybody else. You know, just because you're the leader doesn't mean you don't have to sink your teeth in that nasty stuff, because that's what makes the leader. You know?
Yep, that's what it is. That's the difference between a leader and a dictator, or however you want to phrase it. You know.
Okay, well, that's definitely a huge takeaway, huge pearl. You got to give us something else. I know there's more in there. I could look at that mustache and I can see it.
So, all right. So when we're talking athletic wise, I'll give you a little bit of the Flama Blanca here.
Yeah, I mean, any platform you can think of, brother, because you're a great story and people need to hear this stuff.
As an athlete, you have to compete against yourself every day, every single day. Whether it is, man, I only got 7.5 hours of sleep last night, I'm going to get 8 tonight. Little things like that. Man, I waited till 9 o'clock to finish my water. Let's get that done earlier. You know, just whatever it is, you have to find a way to be better every day as an athlete. That's how you get to the top. That's really, because if you're doing that, you're going to do all the other little things. You're going to do all the rehab, all the prehab, all the, you know, hypertrophy that you should be doing as a strongman, but we don't. All the stuff you should be doing, you'll do if you try to get better every day. So, and another thing, as an athlete, nobody can beat you except yourself. If you have that mentality, it will change your life competition day. You got to have that swagger. People give me shit all the time because lately it's been Megan Thee Stallion, but I'm a huge Cardi B fan as well. And
hey, whatever it is, baby.
People, they're like, why? I'm like, I love the way she carries herself. Those women will themselves into
a lot of confidence. Yeah,
I love it. I love the way they present themselves. They're just like, I don't give a shit. I'm still better. I'm the best. What are you gonna do?
Yeah.
I mean, because what you're talking about, you can, when you see it in somebody, it doesn't matter if they're a man or they're a woman or what they do, they have it. And they put it out there and they know they got it, and they do it in such a way that people believe, and you can't convince somebody to believe you if you don't have it.
Yep.
You know?
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. That's how you, as an athlete, that's how you just truly ascend. That's what I think. Did
you stumble across this stuff early on before we were competing in high-level strongman? Was that back when you were young too, or was that a later development?
I think I had it a little bit when I was young. I was more happy to be there when I was younger because I was like, this is new to me and I'm doing good at this. Oh, just smiling.
So when did you start? Like, you started putting it together?
For me, I think the big thing for me, I did the Arnold 2017 amateur as a heavyweight, and that's the first show I didn't place top 3 in. I came in like 20th, and I was just like, oh, the fuck, that is never happening again. Like, never ever happening again. And yeah, since then, I think third's the lowest I've taken, really, in like a.
Dude, sometimes the good ass whipping is exactly what the doctor ordered. You know,
I thought I was good, and then I went there and got just shit stomped, and I was like, oh no.
I think one of your keys to success is that you always hold yourself accountable. I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Win or lose, you hold yourself accountable.
You have to. Nobody lost except you. Nobody made it's not a team sport. You can't blame no one else.
Yeah. I mean, and even when it is a team sport, you analyze what could you do better to support your team, because you're always as an individual, you have to improve so that you can be better for your team. You know,
that's true. There's always that, but always, maybe he would have caught that ball. But
yeah, very true, very true. No, I love it, brother. This is the stuff right here that we really want to be airing out for the audience, because I mean, we all want to be the best versions of ourselves, and that's exactly what you're talking about.
That's it. You get a lot of the self-help. I honestly have not read a lot of self-help. I read a book by, was it Bernice Brown? Daring Greatly, it's called. I forget the author's name. But I was reading that, and I was like, oh, shit, I do a lot of this.
That's cool.
Like, wait a minute. I actually do a lot of this. So, like, I think inherently I've just been blessed of being in a leadership position and around good leaders, whether it's military or just people like Nick that I've naturally attracted to, right? And it's like that has shaped me more than any self-help or anything. And I think it's proof is in the pudding. When I apply it, it tends to work.
Absolutely. So on that level, go a little deeper. Obviously, you mentioned Nick. What other people would you say were a big influence on you developing into the person you are?
Definitely early on, Lynn Morehouse. He promotes official strongman games. He's a very good friend, and he kind of took me under his wing from afar and just was very kind. He showed me the kindness of the sport before I knew that was a thing. So he really helped develop me as an athlete, as a person earlier in the days. And then I got to say, as I started getting good at competing and winning,
That's good. When you laugh before you say it, we know it's going to be good.
One of the biggest things I did is I went back to the 80s and 90s wrestling and just watched promo after promo of the Ultimate Warrior, Ric Flair, Macho Man, ravishing Rick Rude, and the swagger those guys had. I wanted to emulate that because it also.
Oh, you do.
Something else it helped me do was it helped me almost like having a stage name. When I was competing, I was Flama Blanca. That was
yeah. You're competing, but you're performing.
Yes, and that when I pieced those two together, and that's when things really got good for me. And I started having so much fun just being myself. I wasn't, because again with the Army, you kind of hold your personality in But being out recruiting and then strongman, my personality started to come back out and just going with that was
What does that mean though?
What do you mean?
Your stage name. What does it mean?
It means the white flame.
I love it, baby.
Gotcha,
I love it. Well, I mean that is
I was living in Tampa at the time, and I was very into the scene.
Gotcha.
Well, brother, I mean, you hit something on the head. I mean, if you listen to any of the greats in any sport, they'll tell you, if you start to have a lot of fun, your confidence goes higher. And when your confidence is higher, you can do things that you didn't think you could do. But having fun, that's what I call the X factor. If you're not having fun with your process, you never get to that spot where that part that you're talking about comes out.
Yeah. And
a lot of times people don't connect competing with performing, and the performing part is what really gets fun.
It enhances it, and there's ways to do it where it's entertaining and it's not too offensive, for whatever situation you find yourself in. I don't know what to say anymore. Those were different. This was 4 years ago. It was different times.
So my question is are you to come back and compete some more?
I
are we going to see you back in the 105s?
I've announced one more. I'm coming. Nicholas Canby won the World's Strongest Man 105 title this year. There's zero fucking chance he's winning it twice.
Oh, there we go, man. There we go.
Oh, did you just throw down the gauntlet against Canby?
Yeah. There we go, baby.
He wanted the best. He's going to get the best back out of retirement.
Let's go, absolutely. Baby. You got the time to commit to it as well.
I'm retired now. Nothing but time.
I'd be really excited to see that. That would be an amazing contest to watch.
The one hiccup, I still don't know how it's going to go with my knee, is the loaded moving events. I still got to test those out. So I need a total knee replacement. I'm already a candidate. I'm 33, so that's fun.
Oh, no shit. You need a total replacement. Wow, that's crazy at 33. You know what that shows? I mean, it just shows You've been living, brother.
I've been living, yeah. So I was supposed to have the surgery actually 2 weeks ago, and I went to my doctor. I'm like, hey, man, I'm not going to compete on a fake knee. It's just I'll be able to train, but I'm not going to be able to compete. I'm going to give it one more shot, and we'll do it after. So my game plan is to schedule the surgery for a day after I win my title, and just a big fuck you as I'm in my bed with my championship.
There we go. There we go. Now the question I got is: are you going to work this big stash into your new performance coming in your comeback?
Oh yeah, because I'm growing the hair out too.
There we go. So you're going to get the handlebar going down up into the lamb chop.
Yep.
And then the hair. Oh, come on, Daddy. You got it, baby. You got it.
I just got to find a way to get my hair to grow faster because I really want it to. I would love to have it shoulder length by October, but I don't know.
Collagen, man, collagen.
Oh,
yeah, there you go.
I'll just get hair plug. I'll get hair plugs if I have to. It has to look right.
No, start drinking some collagen.
Yeah. Brother, even if you have to, go get some long hair weaved into your short hair.
Yeah, get some extensions. There you
go. They do it. I'm telling you, it's they'll stay in there for months.
I'll do the whole Triple H thing where I have this music play when I come up to the floor.
Yeah, baby. Oh, that'd be perfect.
Yeah,
I'm telling you that. Way back, God, you remember this, Nick? It was like 2005, I think. IFSA was trying to they were trying to bring wrestling, the vibe of wrestling. What they told us was they were going to try to cross the sport of Formula One, how big it is, with the entertainment value of wrestling. And that was what they were trying to do. And they gave us all fucking nicknames, and we had robes and shit. Of course, it never made it out. But
the human action figure.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, we all had names,
Here's the thing. You can't give people names. You got to let the people be there. You got to let them.
And brother, let me tell you, when they named Sojourner Civigas Huggy Bear, we all had a problem.
What was your name, John?
I was a human action figure.
Okay.
That's a little more poignant, I'd say.
I think it actually got changed. I think they were trying to change it to Freak Show because, just like you said, brother, they weren't names that were sticking.
Yeah. Freak Show. That's something you could. You could just flex like Freak Show after everything you do.
Because that's what a lot of guys That's what a lot of guys would call me. So they were like, "Let's call him a name that we actually use."
Yeah.
But
yeah, man. It's people. It's all these little pieces throughout the years have been in Strongman, and nobody's ever just put them the fuck together.
Yeah. Well, sounds like you're on the nerve here, brother. Even if you're just doing it for yourself, you lead they'll follow.
Yeah, and I'm not that. I'm glad you brought that up because I'm not doing it for myself. I've been very adamant about. I'm good. I tell people I was born in a trailer. I'll die in a trailer. I don't care. It don't matter to me. But I genuinely want to leave things better. And Strongman has been so giving of my life, and it's changed my life. So in so many ways that I want to leave it better than when I found it. So I'm doing it for the collective. We call ourselves Strengthly Collective, but it's something I hold near and dear to my heart. We really are a collective of athletes, coaches, and just people in the sport that are all eyes forward, move downfield.
Well, you just keep leading by example, opening up the doors. You come out with the lamb chops and the long hair, and you put on a show.
Bring it back.
Other people will start following because really, what it comes down to, there's nothing wrong with bringing some entertainment value into any sport. You know what I mean?
And they haven't met like the Flama Blanca who was out of the army. I was still in the army when I was that guy, so I had to pull it back a little bit still.
Oh my gosh, this is gonna be exciting.
Yes.
Now that I have no one to answer to.
This is gonna be good. This is beautiful. I fucking love it. The sky's the limit. Let your creative process run. This is gonna be beautiful. I love it. Well, let's go. Let's switch gears a little bit. Talk to us a little bit about your diet, but attach some of what you did with your diet to, obviously. There's plenty of other 105ers who want to be strong, but also have to be able to stay close to the weight limit. So just eating to get big and weigh a lot is not part of the program if you're trying to stay close to your weight limit. So talk to us a little bit about your eating. Obviously, you had to cut weight. So there was, I'm sure you had a protocol for eating and cutting weight. Talk to us a little bit about that.
Yeah. So a good 105 never has an off season when it comes to weight because you never know when opportunities come up. So I always was within striking distance. I'd keep it low 250s was ideal. about 252. That's where I felt the strongest during training, and it's still a manageable weight cut for me. And that really just consisted of a lot of boring ass protein. Fill your calories with protein. You know, when you're hungry, have protein. You of course you have to make sure you get your carbs and everything, but like, that's really the building block of a 105 is just you're hungry. I can't have that cupcake. I guess I'll have some fucking chicken.
Well, there you hear it, everybody. There's no secret. You just got to suck it up, you know?
Yeah, it's really what it is. He's sucking it. And some guys are more genetically gifted than others. Some guys, yeah. So, like, yeah, you got – but, yeah, it's keeping it simple. Yeah. I didn't want to go there, Nick.
Attaboy, Nick. Get it out there.
You knew what I was going to say.
Yeah, I did, but you need to say it, not me.
I'm not going to say it. Well, some guys blast more than others.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And that's something that is what it is, you know. But you can't go wrong with just filling up on protein, honestly. That's keep it simple.
So you're 250-ish pounds, and you're weighing in at 231.
Yep.
Right? So talk to us about that. Now, you're obviously going to have to get from point A to point B. Water is going to be a ton of that. What's the protocol for kind of wringing the water out of your system?
So I did mine non-traditional powerlifter strongman. A lot of guys they hydrate up the last couple days, like 2-3 days of 2 gallons of water or whatever, and then they cut it out and sweat. I took a more gradual approach, kind of drying out. It's much more comparable, I would imagine, to a bodybuilding protocol, where I would load on salt and water about 2 weeks out. So if my weigh-ins were Friday, about a week and a half before, I would start drinking 2 gallons of water a day with salt, and I wouldn't care about carbs as much, you know, and just load up on it. Then the Sunday before weigh-ins, I would cut it down to a gallon. Then Monday would be a half gallon. Tuesday would be a quarter gallon. Wednesday would be 20 ounces. Thursday as needed for weigh-ins Friday morning. And on Wednesday, I'd cut out all salt, all carbs. And honestly, I didn't have to sauna much. Doing it that way, I'd get 20 pounds of water out of me without much strain.
Wow.
Because it's gradual. But by the time I'm starting to take the water away, I'm dropping 4 pounds a night almost in some nights.
Yeah. I mean, we're made of so much water. You know, I'll compare that to kind of what the people might think a standard bodybuilding cut would be. You know, in terms of dropping water.
I mean, it's very similar to bodybuilding, but I was just curious as the fact that you cut all that sodium out, and you're doing such a very intensive workout and everything like that, intensive training and everything like that. Doesn't like cramping comes into play with all that sodium depletion?
Well, that week of, I'm not training. It's all just active recovery type stuff. And Friday, my first priority is sodium. Above all else. As soon as I weigh in, I'm getting, even if it's sodium like some Pringles, a couple Pringles, get that.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's pretty extreme. It's just like bodybuilding, you know. I didn't realize like you guys go through that much, especially making weight and stuff like that. I didn't think it was that extreme.
Well, some guys don't. Some guys, like I said, if they weigh in Friday, they'll start chugging water Wednesday and Thursday, and then they'll just try to sauna out 20 pounds. That's miserable to me. I'd rather lay in my bed and watch The Office than sit in a sauna.
Gotcha.
Yeah, sauna's miserable, man. There's no question there.
There's no fun to be had in a sauna.
Yeah. All right, brother. So check this out. You got a time machine. You can jump in this time machine right today, as you are this moment, and you can go back in your life. How many years do you go back, and what do you tell yourself?
I go back to August 7th, 2006, and I tell myself, do not get married.
I was thinking a lot of things, but I wasn't seeing that one coming.
No.
Yeah, I was married for a decade.
No shit. Wow. Well, so when you jumped out of the time machine and you're talking to yourself, where were you standing? The you in 2006, where were you? Where were you having this conversation just as you're getting ready to walk down the aisle?
No, I just like when I go outside for like that morning cigarette, because I think I smoked back then.
Okay.
And just
I
would grab myself and just shake. Don't you fucking do it.
So you weren't like cutting yourself off of walking down the aisle at the church. It wasn't like a last minute run. It was talking some sense into yourself as a whole.
Yeah. Because if you do the shout and run, everyone's going to think you're a weirdo. No one's going to listen to you. You got to have a plan. Go in there just in case.
Now, how do you really feel about it?
That was actually a funny one, man. That was funny. That was good shit.
That was a good one.
I wasn't expecting that either.
Nobody knows I was married for so long. Everyone's always like, "Whoa."
Yeah, that was.
Yeah, that's crazy shit. I love it, brother. Well, so let's go this way. You've done so much great shit. You've affected so many people in so many different platforms. What's the most important to you? When you're gone, what is your legacy? What do you want to leave behind? What do you want to be remembered for?
If I'm remembered for 1 year making the sport better and everyone else rose to it, that's all I need. Okay. If all this falls apart because everyone rose around and rose up and did the right thing by athletes, I did my job. Because that was my purpose, was to get the athletes taken care of and make it viable. Whether it's me doing it, someone else, as long as it's done, that's what I care about. So that's what I hope people remember. So you basically just got you got the ball rolling. That's what you're remembered for. And if I'm the one that takes it all the way, then I take it all the way. You just want the fact that everybody was taken care of. That's very honorable, brother. Yeah, very honorable. Yep. I'll tell you, you show up here. You've done so much. You got this cool looking mustache. I didn't think you were going to be so soulful. Shit. This is some good shit. You're dropping some pearls on the planet here. This is good stuff, brother. Hey, that's all right. It's got to see how things go. You guys are cool dudes, so it's easier to talk. Oh, well, that's killer. I got to tell you, you're inspiring me with the mustache. I'm gonna have to give one of those a try. Wait, listen. What are you laughing at? Come on, you think I can pull that off? What's up, man? The strongest men grow. I think you can, John. I think you can. Yeah, the strongest men grow mustaches because you know what shit you get for this, and if you can withstand all that, you can withstand anything. I love it. I love it. That's because I always go and get my toenails painted with my daughters. And sometimes people will say, "Why do you paint your toenails?" And I just say because I can, much like you say with your mustache. Yeah, I'm gonna grow out even thicker every time someone says something about it. I'm gonna make it even worse looking. I see the wheels in Nick's head turning right now. He's thinking about a mustache, too, right, Nick?
I am, but unfortunately, I've tried one, and I would have to completely change my CPAP. Okay, so they don't work. So I just do the chin. That's a good, yeah. Yeah, Nick, you got the coolest fucking chin hair on the planet, so you're good. You're doing good with that, brother. You don't want to call it a beard. That's just chin hair. That's just, you can't tell where the hair ends and the chin begins. It's contemplation hair. What's that? Thanos. Nick got the Thanos. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. I love it. Well, brother, I got to tell you, man, this was an honor to have you on the show. And me personally, I'm so glad I got to talk to you like this because there's a lot about you I didn't know, and I got more respect for you now than I ever did before. So thank you very much. We've had you here for a little over an hour. We appreciate your time. Nick, you guys got anything else before we wrap this baby up? No, man, it's been a joy getting to know you and just your principles and what you bring to the sport, and I just wish you the best of luck. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. And you already know I love you. Yeah. We'll talk later. Oh gosh, he's gonna kill me now. So right on. Well, as I said a few times through the show, we really are trying to uncover, elements that can help our viewers, take things and be better versions of themselves. And brother, you really helped that today. You put a lot of pearls on the table. So we really want to thank you very much for coming on the show. And more than anything, like I said, all of our viewers, we promote you to keep watching. But more importantly, just realize we're here to entertain you and help you be motivated to become the best
version of yourself. There's another edition of Legends of Iron. We will see you next time.
Legends of Iron is brought to you by Muscle Mints. Muscle Mints is the creator of Carnivore. Beef builds muscle, and Carnivore is the world's #1 selling beef protein.